The fog was thick that morning, curling low around the trees like smoke from a dying fire. Jack adjusted the strap of the baby carrier slung across his chest and tightened his coat. The chill cut through his clothes as he stepped into the woods. The ground still damp from the small wildfire that had licked through the area 2 nights ago. Most of it had been contained quickly, but scorched patches and the sharp scent of ash still lingered. He hadn't meant to go far, just a short walk to settle Lily, who had been fussing since dawn. She was finally quiet now, nestled against him, her little head warm under a knit hat. Jack let the stillness of the forest soothe them both. But something snapped in the distance. He froze. It wasn't a branch. It was too soft, more like the weak rustle of something alive. Trying not to be, Jack's eyes scanned the underbrush near the edge of the burned area. Then he saw it, a golden shape, low to the ground, barely moving. For a second, his brain refused to make sense of it. It looked like a dog. No, too big. A deer, too compact. Then it shifted slightly, and he caught a glimpse of a tufted tail, a rounded ear, and the unmistakable amber eyes of a young lion. A lion. Jack's body tensed, instinct screaming to back away. But the cub didn't move. It just stared at him, its side rising and falling in shallow breaths. A smear of soot across its flank. One of its hind legs looked twisted. There was dried blood around the paw. Whatever had happened during the fire, it hadn't escaped unscathed. Jack glanced down at Lily. She was awake now, staring wide-eyed toward the animal. She made a soft gurgling noise. But there was no fear in her face. None. Just wonder. He should go. This wasn't his problem. He wasn't trained for this. It was a wild animal. Dangerous. Unpredictable. Even hurt. It could lash out. He had a baby with him. For God's sake. But he didn't move. The cub gave a weak whine. Tried to lift its head. And failed. Jack sighed. Damn it. MIA was not calm when he walked through the front door with a lion cub wrapped in his jacket. What the hell is that? She shouted, backing away with a hand to her chest. I found it by the edge of the woods. It's hurt, Jack said quickly, already placing the cub gently on an old blanket in the corner of the living room. It's just a baby. It's a predator. She's injured. She can't even stand. And you brought her in here? With Lily? Jack didn't answer. He was checking the cub's leg now, trying to see how bad it was. Burned. Swollen. Definitely sprained or broken. He looked up at MIA, who was pacing near the doorway. Eyes wide. Voice rising. We have to call someone. A rescue center. Animal control. Someone who knows what they're doing. Jack nodded. I will. But if I leave her out there, she won't last the night. MIA stared at him for a long moment. Jaw tight. Then something changed. A laugh, high and clear, interrupted them both. They turned. Lily was sitting on the rug, not 2 feet from the lion cub. Giggling, her tiny hand reached forward, wobbling slightly as if trying to touch the cub's fur. The cub blinked slowly, weak but not afraid. Jack moved instinctively, ready to grab her, but the cub didn't move. It just looked at Lily with something like curiosity. Lily, in return, beamed at her new friend. MIA froze. She's not scared, she said quietly. No, Jack said, she's not. They named her Ember, fitting, given the fire she'd come from. That night, Jack did call a wildlife rescue group, but the nearest facility that could care for a lion was 3 hours away. and they were overwhelmed with rescues after the fire. The man on the phone said they'd try to send someone out in a few days. Maybe longer. So Ember stayed. They kept her in the laundry room at first. Jack cleaned the wound as best he could and found an old dog crate to keep her contained while she rested. She ate slowly, barely finishing the bowl of soft meat they offered, and spent most of the time sleeping. But Lily wouldn't stop crawling to the door. Every time she saw Ember, she laughed. The cub, despite her pain, always lifted her head in return. They watched each other like old friends meeting again for the first time. Jack sat with them one evening, the sun slanting low through the kitchen window. Mia was still uneasy, hovering in the background, but she didn't object anymore. Not out loud. "Why do you think she's so calm?" Jack asked softly, brushing Lily's hair back from her forehead. "Most babies would scream." Mia shook her head. "Maybe because she's too young to know fear. Or maybe she just understands." Mia looked at him, then at Ember, who had begun to purr softly. Not a roar, not a growl, just a low hum. Barely audible. "She's still not staying," Mia said. "Not forever." Jack nodded. "I know. But inside, he wasn't so sure. He didn't believe in signs. Not really. But the moment, the fog, the fire, the cub, and their fearless daughter, it felt like more than chance. It felt like the beginning of something. The days passed slowly, filled with cautious routine and quiet wonder. Ember, the lion cub, healed faster than Jack expected. Her limp remained, but she was walking now, still wobbly, still sore, but with a growing strength that was impossible to ignore. Jack had built a makeshift pen beside the fireplace, where Ember slept during the day, her golden eyes often fixed on Lily. And at night, without fail, she would find her way to the baby's room and curl up near the crib, breathing steady and low like a silent guardian. Mia didn't love it, but she didn't stop it either. She would pause at the doorway, watching the unlikely pair, her baby sleeping soundly, wrapped in peace, and the wild animal that should have terrified them all, keeping silent watch. It made no sense. And yet it was happening, night after night. One evening, after Lily had been tucked into bed and the house had gone quiet, Mia sat beside Jack on the couch. She didn't speak for a long time. Then, she waits until Lily falls asleep, she said, almost to herself, and then she lies down just far enough to keep an eye on her. Jack nodded. He'd noticed the same thing. She doesn't try to get in the crib, doesn't touch her, she just watches. She purrs sometimes, Mia said, not loud, just enough that it fills the room. Neither of them said what they were both thinking. That it felt like love. It was almost midnight when it happened. Jack woke to a low growl vibrating through the walls, a sound that was not human. Not mechanical, not part of the normal sounds of their house or the woods beyond. Mia sat up instantly. Was that Ember? Jack said, already out of bed. He raced down the hall and nearly collided with Ember in the dark. She was standing alert at Lily's doorway, tail stiff, ears forward, body frozen like a statue carved from fire and instinct. And she was growling, not loud, controlled, warning. Jack's heart jumped. He looked past her into the room. Lily was stirring but not crying. She was safe. Everything looked normal. Then he heard it. A soft click. Outside. The back porch. Jack motioned for Mia to stay back and slipped down the hallway toward the kitchen. Ember padded behind him, silent except for her low rumble, which hadn't stopped. He flipped on the porch light. Nothing. The door was locked, but the handle had moved slightly, just enough for the latch to clatter. A raccoon, a stray dog, or someone trying to break in. He'd never know for sure. But Ember had known. She had heard it, smelled it, felt it, and she had sounded the alarm. The next morning, Mia sat on the nursery floor, holding Lily close while Ember lay stretched nearby, belly exposed, purring gently. "She's a baby," Mia said, "but she's not a pet." Jack sat cross-legged near the doorway. "I know. She's still a lion." "Yeah. But last night," Mia shook her head slowly. "Last night, she protected us. Not just Lily. All of us." Jack didn't respond. He didn't need to. They all felt it. Something had shifted. Lily had started to crawl faster now, tiny hands slapping the wooden floor. Her eyes always seeking one thing: Ember. The cub tolerated it with the patience of something ancient. Sometimes she'd nudge Lily back gently with her nose. Other times she'd curl her tail around the baby like a lazy hug. But it was the bedtime routine that changed everything. One night, Lily wouldn't sleep. She cried and cried, her cheeks red, her little fists clenched. Mia rocked her, sang to her, whispered gently, but nothing helped. Jack tried too, bouncing her lightly, pacing the room. Still, nothing. Then Ember appeared at the door. Mia froze. The lion cub looked at Lily, then at Mia, and slowly padded into the room. She curled beside the crib without a sound, her warm body settling on the hardwood floor like a soft flame. And just like that, Lily stopped crying. She watched Ember with wide, watery eyes and slowly reached out over the crib rail. Ember lifted her head slightly and gave a soft chuff. A kind of affectionate exhale Jack had never heard before. Lily giggled, her breath hitching. Within minutes, she was asleep. Mia didn't say anything at first. She just stood there, arms at her sides, staring at the impossible sight in front of her. "I don't get it," she whispered finally. Jack stepped up beside her. "Maybe you're not supposed to." Mia turned to him, her face soft. "She's warm. That's what did it." Lily could feel her, even from up here. "She trusts her. She loves her." Mia's voice cracked slightly. "She's not just healing. She's bonding. With us. With Lily." Jack nodded slowly. "Yeah." That night, Mia left the nursery door open on purpose. She didn't say anything about it. Neither did Jack. But Ember came in quietly and lay down in her usual place, close. But not too close. She watched Lily until her own eyes closed, her breathing slowing with the baby's. Their rhythms matched, two hearts sinking in the quiet of the dark. Jack watched from the doorway, arm around Mia's waist. "We'll still have to let her go," Mia said. "I know. But not yet." "No." Mia leaned her head against his shoulder. "Not yet." Outside, the forest had begun to heal. Green shoots pushing up through the ash. Life, persistent and quiet, was returning to the land. And in one small house, on the edge of the trees, a lion cub kept watch over a little girl. Her presence as fierce as it was gentle. It wasn't natural. It wasn't explainable. But it was real. And that was enough. The peace didn't last. Word travels fast in small towns, especially the kind of word that sounds like danger. It started with footprints. A hunter named Ray spotted him along the creek bed, big, Padded prints with deep claw marks in the mud. Too big for a dog. Too clean to be a bear. He said it out loud to the wrong person. And within hours, whispers turned into warnings. A lion. In the forest. And not just any lion. A survivor of the fire. Wild and unpredictable. Possibly injured. Probably starving. Someone's goats went missing the week before. Someone else's barn door was scratched. By the next morning, the village group chat was filled with messages in all caps and blurry pictures of paw prints and theories. By the end of the week, the sheriff's office had received 5 separate reports. They issued a notice. A wild animal may be roaming near the northern woods. Do not approach. Keep children and pets indoors. Officials will investigate. Jack read the notice at the breakfast table. MIA was quiet. Ember lay nearby. Her body stretched across the floor like she didn't have a care in the world. Lily babbled from her high chair, occasionally tossing cereal onto Ember's back, which the cub accepted with regal patience. She's never even left the yard, Jack said under his breath. MIA nodded slowly. Doesn't matter, the moment they think she's a threat. He didn't respond. He didn't have to. They both knew what came next. That afternoon, 2 men showed up at their house. One was the sheriff. The other wore a wildlife services vest and carried a tranquilizer rifle slung across his back. Jack met them at the porch. We heard you were the one who called after the fire, the sheriff said. About a cub you found. Jack hesitated. Yeah, but she was injured. Just a baby. We took care of her. The wildlife officer stepped forward. Where is she now? She's still here. A beat passed. Mr. Kessler, the officer said. You realize that keeping a wild animal like that in your home is illegal under state code. I didn't keep her, Jack said carefully. I sheltered her. No one came to pick her up. I reported it. The sheriff sighed. Look, I know you meant well. But there's a lion on the loose. And the town's on edge. We need to be sure this animal hasn't become dangerous. Jack glanced over his shoulder. Then back. She's not dangerous. She's still a lion, the officer replied. If she gets out, if she panics, or defends herself, we've got a real problem. That night, Jack and MIA sat in silence. Ember was curled at Lily's feet. Warm and still, Lily had fallen asleep stroking the cub's ear. They'll take her, MIA said, whether we agree or not. I know. You should let her go before they come back. I can't. MIA turned to him. Jack, you have to choose. He looked at her sharply. Between the village and her. She said quietly, between what they think she is, and what we know she is. Jack ran a hand through his hair. I won't let them kill her. They'll say they're protecting the town. She protected us. Then we show them. Jack looked up. What? MIA stood. We show them who she really is. The town hall meeting was crowded. Folding chairs packed with neighbors. Murmurs of worry buzzing like wasps. Someone had a map of the forest. Someone else passed around photos of claw marks and chicken feathers. At the front of the room, the sheriff stood beside the wildlife officer. Jack was there, too. So was MIA. And Ember. Gasps filled the room when she entered, her leash loose in Jack's hand. Her body low, eyes calm but alert. A ripple of panic ran through the crowd. Parents pulling children closer, people backing away. She's not wild, MIA said firmly. Her voice cut through the noise. She's not hunting. She's not a threat. She's a lion, someone shouted. She doesn't belong here. She does belong here, Mia replied. Because this isn't just about an animal. This is about a member of our family. Lily was on her hip, watching quietly. This lion saved our daughter, protected her, slept by her crib every night. She's gentle, she's smart, and she knows us. Jack stepped forward. We didn't plan any of this. It just happened. We tried to hand her over after the fire. But no one came, and by the time we realized what she meant to our daughter, it was too late. She loves her, Mia said. Her voice trembled now. And our daughter loves her back. The room was silent. Then a small voice. What if she escapes? Jack nodded. We're not saying we can keep her forever. But right now, she's not ready for the wild. And locking her in a cage won't make her safer, it'll just break her. The wildlife officer spoke up. We can relocate her to a sanctuary. One with open land, safety, proper care. Jack nodded slowly. Then let us bring her there ourselves. When the time's right. The officer hesitated. That's not typically allowed. Neither is raising a lion in your living room, Jack said. But here we are. Laughter broke the tension, just a little. Then something unexpected happened. A woman in the back stood. My son saw her in your yard. Said she was lying in the sun next to the baby. I thought he was joking. She paused. He said she looked peaceful. Then another voice. I was scared at first. But if she's part of your family, I trust you'll do what's right. Later that night, back at home, Ember curled at Lily's side once again. The house was quiet, but the air felt different, less tense. More like breathing after holding your breath for too long. They won't come for her tonight, Mia said softly. No, Jack agreed, not tonight. He watched Ember's chest rise and fall. Lily's small hand resting on the cub's shoulder. She's not ours, Mia said. But she's not theirs either. Jack said. No, she whispered. She's hers. Their daughter stirred, safe in the warmth of something wild that had, impossibly, become home. A week after the town hall meeting, the call finally came. It was from a wildlife conservation organization, Horizon Sanctuary, a respected reserve several hours north, known for rehabilitating big cats rescued from fires, trafficking, or failed captivity. They had read about Ember's story through the Wildlife Services report and offered a solution no one expected. They wanted to bring her in. Not to a cage, not to a zoo, but to a wide, secure section of the reserve, land filled with trees, soft grass, and other rescued lions. A safe place where Ember could grow strong, stretch her legs, and learn to be among her own kind. But more importantly, they offered something else. Visitation. We understand how unique this bond is, said the woman on the phone. Her voice warm. It's rare, almost unheard of. But if Ember is to thrive, she'll need space and proper care. Still, we believe connection matters, too. You'd be welcome to visit her as often as you'd like. Jack and Mia sat in silence after the call, the weight of the decision finally settling in. She can't stay here forever, Mia said quietly. We always knew that. Jack nodded, his eyes fixed on the cub dozing peacefully at Lily's feet. But it doesn't make it easier. They waited until morning. Jack sat on the nursery floor beside Ember, who had taken her usual spot near the crib. Her warm body curled like a comma between sleep and watchfulness. Lily stirred in the crib and reached out. Barely awake, Ember responded with a soft chuff. pressing her nose to the edge of the mattress. Jack felt a lump rise in his throat. How do you explain goodbye to something that doesn't speak your language? To someone who doesn't know why everything's about to change. The team from Horizon arrived just after noon. They came with quiet voices, soft hands, and a large, open crate lined with straw. No tranquilizers, no nets, just patience. Ember didn't resist. She walked calmly alongside Jack, her head low, pausing only once, at the doorway of Lily's room. She looked back. Her paws froze just inches from the rug, where the crib stood empty. She gave a low, uncertain growl. Lily wasn't there. MIA had taken her to the kitchen, thinking it might be easier this way. But Ember didn't move. Jack knelt beside her. She's not gone, he whispered. She's okay. You're going somewhere good. Still. The cub lingered. She turned her head, nose twitching. Her eyes rested on the crib one last time. And for a long moment, she didn't blink. Then, with slow steps, she walked into the crate. The door closed behind her. Not with a slam, but with a soft, final click. The house felt different after she left. Too quiet, too still. Lily noticed first. That night, she tossed in her crib, fussing more than usual. MIA rocked her gently, humming the lullabies that used to work. But they didn't now. Lily cried harder. Her little fists clutched at the empty space where warm fur should have been. MIA held her close, tears sliding silently down her own cheeks. I know, baby, she whispered. I miss her too. Jack stood in the hallway, unable to bring himself to step inside. The room felt wrong now. Incomplete. The first visit came 2 weeks later. The staff at Horizon greeted them kindly and led them through the quiet reserve, past tall grasses and broad enclosures. Ember's area was one of the largest, open but protected, dotted with trees and sunlit rocks. At first, they didn't see her. Then Lily let out a laugh. It was sudden, pure, and loud, and it carried across the field like a bell. Ember appeared. She bounded from the tall grass, not running but fast enough to make every caretaker tense for a second. But she didn't jump. She didn't roar. She stopped a few feet away from the viewing fence and stood tall, tail flicking, ears forward, her eyes locked on Lily. Lily reached through the rails as far as she could. Giggling again, Jack held her tightly, tears stinging his eyes. She remembers, he said softly. MIA didn't answer. She just smiled through her own tears. The visits became a ritual. Every few weeks, they'd drive north, Lily pressing her face to the window, eyes wide as trees blurred past. Ember grew fast, her body lengthening, muscles developing. Her limp had all but vanished. But every time they came, she was there waiting, and every time they left, she walked him to the edge of her enclosure, pacing slowly beside them like she was walking them home. At night, Lily still reached for the edge of her crib. But now, instead of crying, she pressed a small, plush lion to her chest, the toy MIA had given her after Ember left. She called it Burr. It wasn't the same, but it helped. And sometimes, when the wind blew just right, carrying scents from the woods, she would smile in her sleep, like she knew Ember was still out there. Still watching, still close. Months passed. The seasons shifted. The nursery stayed the same, except for one framed photo near the crib, Lily, laughing, with Ember beside her, her golden fur like sunlight, her eyes calm and steady. A reminder of a bond that defied explanation. A reminder of what it meant to love something wild and still let it go. Jack stood in the backyard one evening, watching the last rays of sun spill over the treetops. Mia stepped beside him, holding Lily on her hip. She asked for Ember again today. Mia said softly. Jack looked at her. What did you tell her? Mia smiled. I told her she's with her family now. Just like we're with ours. Jack nodded. And for the first time since Ember left, the house didn't feel empty anymore. It felt full. With memory. With love. And with the kind of peace that only comes after you've done the hardest thing in the world. Said goodbye to someone who never used words to say, I love you. But meant it every day they stayed. 2 years passed. The forest had long healed. Green and full again. The fear that once rippled through the town had faded into stories, ones people now told with softer voices. Sometimes even with smiles. But for Jack, Mia, and little Lily, it was never just a story. It was something they had lived. Lily was walking now, running, even. Her speech was still patchy. But she knew the important words, Mama, Dada, and Burr. Burr. She never forgot. The family hadn't visited Horizon Sanctuary in months. Life had picked up pace, work, chores, preschool visits. But the longing never left. And when they told Lily they were going to see Ember again, she didn't ask who that was. She just lit up. It was a warm spring afternoon when they arrived. The trees swayed gently, and the open fields of the reserve shimmered under the sun. Jack lifted Lily from her car seat while Mia grabbed the small backpack they'd packed, snacks, water, and a worn stuffed lion Lily still slept with every night. She might look different, Jack warned softly. She's not a cub anymore. Mia nodded, watching Lily's tiny legs bounce with impatience as they followed the familiar path to Ember's enclosure. She was already there, standing tall, golden and strong, no longer the frail little thing they had carried home from the forest, but a full-grown lioness. Sleek, confident, beautiful, yet somehow, still Ember. Jack felt his heart skip. She had been watching him the whole way. And when Lily stepped forward, only as high as the fence itself, Ember moved, slowly, carefully, a silent, steady walk to the edge. Mia held her breath. Jack crouched beside Lily. And then, Ember dipped her great head low and gently pressed her forehead to the fence. Lily giggled. Without fear, without hesitation, she stepped up and leaned forward, placing her own small forehead to the same spot, separated only by the wire mesh. A perfect mirror, a silent echo of a ritual they had long since shared. No words, no sounds, just recognition and love. Jack felt something break inside him. Something quiet. Something good. Mia knelt beside them both. Eyes wet. She remembers. Of course she does. Jack whispered. How could she not? They stayed for hours, watching her pace slowly, circle back, lie down in the tall grass nearby, never far. Always watching Lily, always close. At one point, Ember rolled to her side, belly exposed, the same way she used to nap near the crib. Lily laughed and mimicked her, lying in the grass just outside the fence. The caretakers stood at a respectful distance. They've never seen anything like it. One of them said quietly. She doesn't do this with anyone else. She doesn't have to. Mia replied. She already has her people. as the sun began to dip and the shadows stretched long across the field. It was time to go. Lily waved, small hand flapping in the warm air. Ember rose once more, walked alongside him as they moved toward the path, never touching the fence again, but never leaving their side until they were gone from view. At the gate, Jack turned back one last time. She was still there, watching, guarding, home, in her own way. That night, back at the house, Lily lay curled under her blanket, holding her stuffed lion close. "She's big now," she said softly, words slow and careful. Jack nodded. "She is. But still Burr." He smiled. "Always." Mia sat on the edge of the bed, brushing Lily's hair back. "Do you miss her?" Lily looked up. "No, 'cause she's still in here." She pointed to her chest. And just like that, they knew Lily understood something most people never would. Something simple, something powerful. Love doesn't depend on species or shape. It lives in the bond we build. Genuine, fearless, and true, from the very first days of life.
Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please comment 1. And if you didn't, just hit like. See you in the next videos.